Hello, everybody. Now, I've been talking about a series of visionary state experiences that I've had throughout my life, and that in itself I found very interesting. That although it's probably something that's been around as long as we can write and share stories, that I've been going to visionary state, and I really think for me is an exciting discovery. It's not something that is, conventional scientific knowledge, but it's something that we really love to talk about in our movies and stories. And so it's something you're probably already familiar with if you watched enough movies such as like Groundhog Day, or I always think of the movie with Jodie Foster. It's funny because she's also a Jodie, called Contact, because when she was put in contact with her extraterrestrials, she did something very similar to what I'm doing, where you're in a parallel dimensional timeline and you're speaking to the extraterrestrial, but they don't really have a form. They're formless beings. They're on such a higher level, and so they might, create like a dreamscape and a personality and all this stuff. So that to me is pretty interesting. Like, just when I thought I knew so much about psychic phenomena, because I was already familiar with, like, you can go out of your body, so I've experienced that a few times in a fully conscious way. Kind of prophetic, or dreams that just have like subtle premonitions, sometimes they're not straight up, but they seem to be hinting. And then when something happens, it becomes relevant. But maybe these sort of prophetic dreams, or maybe deja vus, should kind of help you feel like you're on time, because if you ever feel like maybe you don't belong where you are, deja vu should let you know that you are where you are. So in 99 and in 2000, I had a really big time trip where I was gone for months, and then I came back and relived it. And ever since then, I've had a profound case of deja vu. It was like every single day I felt like I've been here before. And it kind of wore off, so like it doesn't happen as much. It really seems to only happen around important events. Like when I went and registered my car the other couple Fridays ago, it seemed like I had a profound sense of deja vu, so maybe getting a different vehicle, because the one I'm driving is stuck in the driveway right now. And and the thing is well, I've been sharing all these stories about my visions. I got to a section of my story that I find very upsetting to even think about. But when I share it, it also offends people too. But I feel like, it's easier to get offended than it is to understand what I'm saying, So, like, because I said some stuff, like, I feel like, okay, in order for, okay, so Billy was the person in my visions, so he wasn't really Bill Leeb, he was just an alien, I guess. But he was a very cute little boy, and if this was Bill Leeb in the form of a child, you might imagine he was a really cute little kid. And if you've ever seen the movie Star Wars, where later on they did sequels that are kind of previous to the story they originally put out in the 80s, and so you see how Darth Vader looked when he was growing up, so it makes you think, Darth Vader was such a cute little boy named Anakin, and he was so intelligent and creative. And that's kind of what it's like, because like if I didn't have Billy, it wouldn't be easy for me to talk to someone like Bill Lee, because he's a lot like Darth Vader. He seems like a big scary guy, and I kind of also think of Bill Lee as being a little bit like Wizard of Oz, like when you get to the you finally get to the end of the road there, and there you are, like, oh, we finally got there. And and you find out, Bill Lee's just this, he's kind of a soft-bellied little old bald guy, and he lets in my opinion, it just seems like every time I come around him, he's under the control of some woman, so that's been my narrative. And I think that he might find that offensive, but, I've really had my feelings hurt by some of these people that, because of the way he handles things. I don't know if it's a personality issue of his or whatever, but, this woman, when I talk about back in 98, the woman that he was married to, she kind of pulled a smear campaign on me. I felt like I was punished really badly, like things could be worse. There's like a lot of bad shit that happens to people. Like people are like getting raped and murdered and, overdosing and just dying of cancer. And I'm just complaining because somebody talked some shit about me. But it's very it's been a very harmful thing to my relationships with the people around me and stuff like that, and it's something that I think has carried over to the moment in such a way that I feel like, you know, I can't talk to Bill Lee because of this person and what she's done to me and my reputation. First of all, I mean, I was probably also pretty severely depressed when I came around them, but and you know, the narcissistic point of view is when you engage with somebody that you initiate the contact and you have a bad experience, then you pretty much brought it on yourself, and so they're not accountable for giving you that bad experience. But you know, I like to forgive all these people and all these things, but at the same time, I'm just saying what happened here was, you know, these people are having a problem with their relationship. And so I kind of came under attack and was an easy scapegoat because, you know, maybe I did create some ammunition by sharing in my letter that, you know, I've had certain dreams and visions that have prompted me to make this initial contact. But what I like to take into consideration here is that when I came into the picture, it was out of the kindness of my heart, because I feel like I'm doing something I normally wouldn't do. Like, everybody keeps telling me you shouldn't go up and talk to a rock star and all that stuff. But for me, that's like, I feel the same way. I normally wouldn't want to talk to somebody that is that popular, somebody that has all these women competing for their attention. You know, I don't normally do that, but this is a rare exception to the case. And so for me, that was an act of compassion. It was an act of friendship. I fully intended to be helpful. And I think for Bill Lieb, he's just used to people that want to take from him and use him as you know, a stepping stone, or a, what do you call, use his friendship like a doorknob, something like that. So I think Bill Lieb's probably met a lot of, you know, shitty people that just want to, you know, make a name for themselves. And I kind of see where that has happened, you know, like certain people have gotten involved with him and somehow that has boosted their popularity and given them praise and empowerment that I don't think they deserve, you know. But for me, I just feel like I got put down really bad and just bullied for trying to be friendly. And the mistake I made, if it was a mistake, was just that I'm friendly and naive, and I think I can just go up and talk to people, you know. And and so as far as I'm concerned, I wasn't really hurting anybody, but I really got my feelings hurt. And then like the following year, if you watch my videos on 98, 99, seeing the band, you know, this van load of people chasing me down, going, there she is, there she is. Like, they were punishing me for all these accusations. And that's where, you know, I really got angry about it. And so I'd say between like 2000, 2002, when I was stuck in Greeley, I was going on Mind Phaser a lot more and trying to discuss this and trying to see if I could reach Bill Lieb and explain, listen, that's why I came to you, you know, and what I got in return was like this. And then, you know, it seemed like the people who felt entitled to bully me like to take those terms and run with it. So I just feel like I got stuck with psycho bitch over and over. Psycho bitch, psycho bitch, psycho bitch. I'm like, dude, I'm sorry. I was just trying to, you know how Bill Lieb keeps saying, I'm just trying to be nice. Well, that's what I was doing. I was just trying to be nice. I didn't mean to be a psychotic, you know, what do you call, groupie stalker and an adulteress all at the same time. Like, boy, I got like 4 like really bad labels on one single night. So I was just trying to be nice. And so, you know, I think what makes me crazy is that I want to keep coming back to these people and I keep wanting to reconciliate. And, well, I have some colorful insight that comes a little later. I can't really put my finger on it. I'm kind of thinking, you know, before I left Denver, probably after some of these events, you know, I had this dream that I was on a college campus, and I just assumed because, you know, the people that buy the music, because I think I went to see Delirium in Boulder, and Boulder is like a college town, you know, so maybe that's why. So when I saw Delirium in 2003, I really want to share about that story next, but before I get into that, I'm just kind of bringing that up because maybe I associate them with the college crowd, because that's the age group who buys music. People that are students are the biggest area of marketing music too, you know. So here I am on a college campus, and it seemed like maybe it was some place where people were coming in to sign up for classes, and it seemed like I came into what was their band room. So like over here was like the section where the kind of the big steps, so that way people could set up, and then, you know, the conductor would be in the middle. But then over here was kind of a flat space, and this is where there was a desk and some people in line. So there were a bunch of people in their teens and 20s probably in here trying to sign up. for their classes. But then I had Bill Lieb over here in the middle of the band area where the conductor would normally be in the center, and he had a really nice big synthesizer station and a lot of equipment around him, but he was all by himself, and he was playing music in the style of Delirium, and it was pretty good actually, but the students there seemed to have absolutely no interest. And so I feel like this was showing me a phase in his life where he's just no longer popular, because I felt like I've always been frustrated with him because he's so popular, you know, that's why I can't get through. There's a lot of other people competing for his attention. So at this point, I was the only person interested. And so I came down onto the bottom one of those steps, you know, and I was just sitting there, and I was the only person watching him, and he looked much older, you know, than he is now even. And he had like, kind of like a, like you could see, you know, how he's got that receding hairline, but like right here was this spot where it was kind of sunken in. It looked like his head had been gashed in, but it was skinned over. And so he looked kind of ugly. So he was really old, and he had this big, like, crater right here in his head. And when he saw me, he was like, Jody. He knew who I was, and he was really happy to see me. And he came over, and he fell to his knees. And he put his arms around me, and he put his big old bald head right in my chest. And we were so happy for each other. I think he was so happy to see me. It made me happy too. And I was pretty happy to see him already, but it just really spiked all that happiness. We were just hugging and hugging and hugging, and that's all I can remember. And so, so years later, I would say maybe like 5 years ago, so I had this dream somewhere before 2009. So maybe more than a decade later, I was talking to my friend Rosie about Bill Lieb. Now, I don't think I told her about this dream yet, so I can't remember that I've mentioned this to her, but I was going on Facebook, and I found this picture that Bill Lieb was using for his profile picture, and so I made a sketch of it, and I was pointing out something I've always noticed about Bill Lieb from my visions and in reality is the way he sits like this, you know, he kind of puts his face all the way down as far as you can and still see out, right? And that seems to be what he was doing here in this picture. Just seems like he always points the forehead to the camera. Now, in 1982, that's when I had those visions where, you know, Rosie was the one keeping Billy. And now, I imagine in real life, Bill Lieb, if he was between the age of, if he was 8 going on 9, he didn't know English yet. So this is totally suspicious right here, is that Billy spoke English. And they probably never called him Billy, but that must be the adjustment they made for my visions. But if this is what Bill Lieb looked like when he was a little kid, I thought he was really cute, and so I might have over-exaggerated on the poofiness of his hair. But when I first saw Bill Lieb in my visions, he was 8 going on 9, and his hair was growing out a little bit, and he has curly cues in the back. And so when I saw Delirium in 2003, he let his hair grow out. He had it combed down a lot flatter, but he had the curly cues, and it's sort of like a mixed blonde, kind of like the picture I have behind me. And so to me, this is a prophetic vision. I mean, it doesn't do much because I have no way to prove any of this except this picture. Now, if Bill Lieb has any pictures of himself in this age period where his hair's growing out, he's got the curly cues. So the first time I met Bill Lieb in my visionary state, I was 6, he was 8 going on 9, as he always put it, and the adults were talking, so my mom and dad sat down and listened to Rosie explain. So Rosie Clearlight's the old lady I came to live with here in Montana, kind of to get away from all my other friends that got sick of hearing me talk about this, because it's something where, you know, I've been trying to process this for so many years. You know, why has this happened? Because I wouldn't need to process it so much, except that I don't feel like me and Bill ever really made friends, you know, like he knows who I am, and he kind of scolded me the other day for saying weird shit about him. But I think, you know, if you're offended, that means you're not listening. So that just means you're just scraping the surface. But anyways, I wanted to point out how part of my prophecy is that Bill Lieb always points his big wrinkly forehead at you in pictures and stuff. And so I showed this picture to Rosie Posey. Now, this is an interesting theory that Rosie has, is that if you've been I call it a veteran soul. So, you know, many, you know, like in older times, you know, we were fighting brutal battles, you know, on the battlefield. I mean, people would just come up with swords and axes and just chop each other up, you know. So warfare was brutal, and she's done healing work on a number of people where she can see your aura, and sometimes she sees how you were wounded in another life, you know. So like she was working on my back, and so there's a good chance I've had a knife put through my heart, you know. There's a good chance I've been bludgeoned in my hip, and sometimes these things come back as pains, like you might do something to put yourself in pain, or you'll have just that same spot will be bothering you. So that might be why I have a problem with kind of like down by my shoulder blade, you know. That might be where I got stabbed in the back in another life, and I keep needing, I fell down on my ass a couple times. Now I constantly need a hip adjustment when I see my chiropractor. That could be where I was bludgeoned in another life. And so I drew this picture in like blue ink, and I showed it to Rosie, and then she took a pencil and she kind of drew this area right here, and she said it looked like kind of his head was kind of caved in, but it was skinned over. And I said, Rosie, that's interesting, because I had a dream like that, you know, before I moved to Montana. I had a dream that Bill Lieb looked like a really old man, and he had that kind of big crater in his head, and that's exactly what she was seeing. When she saw this picture, she could see that same thing that I was seeing in my dream. And so that's why we circled that spot right here, because this could be an old issue that is hanging around in Bill's aura. So point being is, if you go back into my videos of the JodyVision playlist, I think early on I spoke that industrial music and the whole culture around it, you know, the whole tribe we belong to could be a collective of veteran souls who've died very traumatic deaths in our past lives, you know. So I feel like the people that are at the core, you know, like Genesis George has said it himself, when he was getting close to his the end of his life, he was having near-death experiences quite a bit. And he said the thing he hates about those is it has a lot of past life trauma with it. Like he's seeing things that have happened to him in his past life that were very traumatic. And so that could be part of reason we have an industrial music culture, is because guys like that, so what they were doing back in the 70s, they were making music from their intuition, you know, because they were using psychedelics, and I think they were, you know, putting out a prayer for sort of spirit intervention, you know, to take place. It's like, because I feel like when we talk about magic and that, it's just another word for a prayer that when you're making music and you have this whole agenda, you know, what you're doing is you're calling on spirits, you know. And so that could be why part of the reason I'm having spiritual experiences associated with, you know, people in this like community. And so I kind of see Bill Lieb as being somebody who was strongly inspired by this this first wave of industrial music. So I feel like, you know, for him, you know, like people like Throbbing Gristle and Cabaret Voltaire are central to the industrial music community, and these are some of the things that they were setting in motion. And so I think, you know, personally, if we went back and talked to any of these people, like if we could find Chris and Cozy, or, you know, maybe Stephen Mallender, since they're still alive, you know, if we could find some of the ones who weren't alive, like Genesis particularly, I'm sure that they would clearly understand what I'm talking about. Is so, you know, so I had a long period of these visions where, you know, Bill Lee is a little boy, and he asked me more than once to please don't forget him, or we will never see each other again, this type of thing. Then Rosie later on said something similar, you have to write him or you'll never see him again. So I go to meet him, and it just seemed like a disaster. It just seemed like I got bullied a lot for it, you know. And since then I've tried to come back to him. I feel like Bill always tries to act like, you know, everything's okay, I haven't done anything wrong, but there just always seems to be somebody pulling him away. Like, you know, back in I'd say 2007, it was probably like the best time we had, you know, going out after the show, you know, when we all went to the church and stuff. But I was really mad because he kind of had that lady there just pulling him away and not letting us talk. And then later on we had Amelia. She hunted me down. But then he's back with the one that we started out with, who she ran a smear campaign against me because she, you know. So I just figure, you know, what's going on with Bill is like he tends to mess with these people, you know, and then they get mad at me, you know, because I'm the troublemaker, and there's just like this really weird dynamic, and so I've been kind of going over this stuff, and I'm sorry because you know it's like it's just my point of view and my experience, and it might be stuff for Bill Lieb like he doesn't even remember, but I just want, you know, people in my life, if you're Bill Lieb or if you're somebody who knows me, to kind of see, you know, what I've gone through. Like, why is this interesting to me? First of all, I think the parallel dimensional timeline is super important. But the thing that makes it embarrassing for me, and probably Bill Lieb too, you know, like he doesn't want people to talk about him, especially if it's gossip. And I feel the same way. Like, I don't want to, you know, lower myself to where I'm gossiping, but it's like, this is what I experienced, you know, like I kind of got, you know, what you call coaxed, and it's like, so half of it is being coaxed and half of it is I like Bill. So if I didn't like Bill, it wouldn't be interesting to me. And since he seems to give me the attitude like, hey, everything's fine, or you're welcome to write me or whatever, it makes me feel like, okay, well that's really good, you know. But the problem is there's so many other people that are like, no, don't do it, you know. And so like the current situation is like, I'm gonna say it's Carol Ann, that I feel like she's somebody that just sees me as some weird, you know, mentally ill, psychotic person, and she'd do anything to keep Bill Lieb away from me. So I just feel like as long as she's around, I can forget about ever talking to Bill Lieb again, because, you know, in order to make her happy, he's got to ghost me pretty much and make me feel like, you know, I don't have anything against you, but I just don't have time for you. So I'm in a process of trying to let go or like get it off of my mind, because it's been on my mind so much. Like the whole reason I came to Montana was to try to process this with the help of my friend Rosie, and ironically I got put in touch with Bill Lieb and I was able to communicate with him a lot more than ever before, but it's all been like a one-way conversation, and all he's had to say is that, you know, the subconscious can be very interesting. Now here's the irony. It's okay, so I feel that I've kind of lost interest in what we call like industrial, post-industrial, because like it's the early stuff that was pretty juicy, and then as it goes on it kind of loses its energy, you know. And I think like the 2000 era, ever since 2000, everybody's been kind of like blah blah blah, it's just another record. Like KMFDM, they have a good sense of humor. They're just more of the same old shit, you know. It's just our usual taste of what music they make, and they know it. They're like, yeah, same old shit. But, you know, like, nobody's really breaking any ground. Everybody's just kind of blah, blah, blah. And it's just been such a boring time, you know, like, I'm just going, man, what are we going to do, you know? So anyways, I've been just in the process of trying to figure out why, you know, this stuff is happening to me. Because, like, if me and Bill Lieb were good friends, I wouldn't have any more questions. I'd be like, okay, this makes sense now. I mean, it would make sense if me and him were friends and we, you know, could talk openly and talk about anything we want. And I always felt safe calling there, and I felt like I could say anything I want, you know. It'd be different, but it's not. It's more like, if I get a hold of Bill, he controls the conversation. He's just like, okay, first of all, I don't have time, but I will say hello, how are you, okay, I gotta go. And so what he does is he makes me feel like, you know, he's being a nice guy, but he doesn't really let me talk to him. So he's still what you call, it's called keeping a professional distance. This is what we do when we learned coaching. But I was going to say about the music scene, I felt like the only person left that was doing anything interesting was Kevin Key. He had like Download and Plateau and just goes as Kevin Key. And out of all those people like that are just going blah blah blah, he was the only one left that's making really good music. Like, I feel like I probably respect him more than all these other guys, because he's still a trippy guy, you know. I feel like he's still tapping into the subconscious and able to channel music, and it's really good. And I've never seen him get pretentious or cheesy or anything. I mean, he gets too sloppy, he might get too far out, but he never gets pretentious, and he doesn't really get too cheesy. And the funny thing is like, I might have had like one dream that somebody took me to visit him. Other than that, like, I've never seen a single vision or dream or anything that makes me think, you know, like, I don't care if I meet him or not. Like, if somebody brought me to Kevin Key and we got to smoke a fatty together, I'd really appreciate it. And if we had a good conversation and all that, that'd be cool. But like, he's somebody, like, I'm never gonna, you know, go out of my way to contact him. And I honestly think, you know, out of that whole Vancouver scene, I think he's like my favorite one. as far as his authenticity, his genuinity, his staying true to the art and not, buying into all this, like, cultural engineering and stuff. And that's why I'm kind of complaining about Bill Lieb a little bit is, so I feel like the reason I'm being put down is because I'm not I'm not one of these pretty rock star girlfriends type. Like, okay, so I find out years later that this lady named Bree comes along and wants to get with Bill. And she couldn't because she found out he was married, which, unlike me, I just thought Carol Ann was like the band manager or some shit. And then she goes on to Kevin Key and she scored. And so I came into that situation where Bree was, I think Kevin Key was just finding the girl he married and like dumping Bree at the same time. So my friends in Denver knew her personally, and so she's the kind of person that, she's appropriate to be a rock star's girlfriend. So I don't think anybody talked shit about her and said she's a psycho bitch for trying to get with Bill Lieb. And then this is my main case against Bill is this. So me being put down for wanting to make friends with someone like Bill, which I think is more appropriate. Like, I'm talking about Bill and Rosie in a visionary state. She's more of a West Coast hippie, and I really think I needed to know her. She was a real friend and everything adds up. But like with Bill Lieb, I feel like it's even more appropriate to have a friend like him that, cares about industrial music and all this stuff, right? But, so what he does is, like, I get treated like, I'm the imposter. I don't belong here. And then, so that keyboard player, I really resent Chris Peterson because he helped to block me, he helped keep me away from Bill. But then what he did do is he helped Bill find this person, Amelia. And so I'm just going to say, the funny thing about this woman, and I've shared this before, is you've got all these pictures of her in here. Not a single one of her face, but you have 2 different pictures of her ass, right? And so, like, there's not even a picture of her face. I mean, unless one of those are her face and she's just an ass face, So this person is like Bill's trophy girlfriend. Yay! And then you find out she was just like this, pretty college girl, 18 years old, going to be a doctor, claiming to be a model. And this is like, what I hate is this is what social engineering is creating, is for men to desire these, these type of women. And on the same token, this woman only wants to go with a guy if they have a lot of money. So it's like, that's why I'm kind of laughing at this, because it's like, so he gave her all this power, so she had all this power, and but she turned out to be very corrupt, right? So like later on when I moved to Montana, she sought me out and she set things up and she fought and fought and fought with me. And so what I'm saying about these women attacking me is like, I figure, well, maybe Bill Lieb just likes really mean women, like these women all want to attack me. Even that chick he had at the church, like this is probably just his sex partner when he comes to Denver, but even she wanted to fight me, man. So why are these women trying to fight me? And I thought, well, maybe they're threatened by me because they can tell Bill likes me, so maybe he likes me. And he can't admit it, but, a woman has intuition, right? So I've been making this joke that Bill Lieb's a liar. And the person who told me that Bill Lieb is a liar was his wife, because when we got back in touch, I thought we were kind of making friends, and I felt like she was trying to be helpful to me. But what she was doing to be helpful to me, she was telling me stuff that would discourage me from wanting to be involved with Bill Lieb by telling me, that he's pretty much a liar and he likes to keep a lot of secrets and stuff like that. So that's where that's coming from. So that's where I was like, I've been going through this long process of discovery of, to me, like, finding out I've been going into visionary state and being tricked, that was really upsetting to me. And you got to imagine that's super scary. And I can understand if Bill Lieb is upset by it too, because I've really tried to think of him as much as I can as far as, if he's not happy to meet me, I would be really upset that there's this person out there, they thought they've seen me somewhere and they think they know me, and I can understand that. And that's always been the thing, is like, I really understand that if I come to Bill Lieb with this story, it might get, it might be embarrassing, but it was like, it was overkill on the embarrassment. The embarrassment was overkill, and that's why I'm pointing out, and it's like, it's stuff we should let go of, but it's just for our sake of perspective. Like, this is where the cycle starts over 25 years ago of Bill Lieb kind of acting like, I would talk to you, but these people here won't let me, kind of. This is what he's been doing. And so now when I saw him in 2003, I asked him if we could go talk, and he said no, and I took no for an answer. So I'm going to explain that's the one time that I definitely got a straight up no. And I didn't let it upset me, you know, and I'm going to explain why. But in 2007, when I had a chance to see him, in 2008, it was like, I would talk to you, but my sex partner here, and then you get this woman that's like, you know, so this lady's over here pouting because, you know, I saw her going up to Bill and being like, why didn't you answer my phone call? Why didn't you call me back? So this is what guys do to women, is like, especially when it's someone like him that's got that position of power and women want him, and he's probably got all these girls doing the same thing with him, right? And so it's like he acted interested in her enough that they have each other's phone number, but when she called all year, he ghosted her. So what these guys do is they kind of let you think, sure, you're fine, I like you, you can call me, and then you get ghosted. And so I've been experiencing this process for like over half my life with Bill Lee, where it's like, yeah, sure, we can talk, you know, but then I get ghosted or I get put off, like, hey, just wait right here and I'll be right down. And 2008, just wait right here and I'll be back as soon as I can. I stood in there for a fucking hour. And then Amelia put me in touch with him, and it's like, feel free to call anytime. And then every time I get him, he's like, I'm sorry, I'm busy. I'm sorry, I'm busy. And so and then all that stuff went down. So I'm going to explain all this stuff as my story unfolds. So I'm just kind of giving you a heads up. This is what I have to share about, and this is why I feel like, you know, it's sort of a passive-aggressive type of mental manipulation. Maybe the guys don't realize they're doing this to people, but like when you're just like saying, hey, feel free to call me all you want, and then you ghost that person, it makes you feel like they're lying to you. So it's called patronizing. You know, so when you're just trying to be nice, so what you're really doing is you're just patronizing that person. Like, you know, I don't really want to talk to you. Like if I would have checked my caller ID, I probably wouldn't have taken the phone call, but since I accidentally took your phone call, I'll be nice enough to say hi. And then make me feel like I'm ungrateful because, you know, you're polite, but the thing is I feel like it's called breadcrumbing, and it's something you do, and it's kind of like a way of teasing somebody. So it's almost like maybe you like that person to follow you. So like in 1982, that very first vision of Billy, you know, my cute little boyfriend with the soft curly cues, he took me outside to play, and he said, Jody, I want you to chase me. And I feel like that has some truth in it, that Bill Lieb is one of these people. He kind of enjoys this a little bit, you know, that, you know, I keep trying him back. Maybe there's a part of him that appreciates it because it means, you know, it's just like, I don't know if it's another notch on his bedpost or something like that, just another person to boost his ego. But I just want you to know the reason I talk to this person, it's not like me to really mess around with people like that, but like, so two things. I felt like I was coaxed by my extraterrestrials, but then because I've come in contact with them, despite all the drama I'm sharing, I feel like I've always really loved Bill, and that I would still really like to give him another chance, you know, because, you know, people change, hopefully, and I'm just hoping he's not still in the mindset of teasing people and torturing people, because I feel like it's been torture for me. And that's why I've said some of the strong statements that I've said about, you know, I think Bill Lieb's a liar, and I think he, you know, has made me a scapegoat to deflect from what his issues are. Like, it's not really wrong. I think there's a lot of guys in Bill's shoes where, you know, you get married and at some point you realize maybe you don't want to be married. Or, you know, it seems like the power is tipping in her direction, and so a guy wants to get a new start with a younger woman, you know, because, you know, guys don't like being bossed around by women or whatever it may be. So I really don't know what's going on there, but like somehow the reason I'm an easy target is because I don't have the social support and the popularity where Bill has, you know, a whole bunch of what you call psycho fans that are going to agree with him whether he's right or wrong. So if I come at Bill with my point of view, you know, everyone's going to take a side whether he's right or wrong. And, you know, I'm the person that's like, I'm the nobody, you know, so I haven't done anything to prove myself. So it's easy to just say, Jody, you need to seek mental health. Now, quickly, I wasn't going to do this, but now I have to. This is something I've been dealing with most of my life. And here's a graph. I'm going to thank Mark Passio for this graph. It's called the Dunning and Kruger effect. Now what's happening here is like, this is where you have confidence and your experience. So your knowledge and experience is how competent you are. So like for many people that are just coming into the conversation, like I've been sharing, I've been going in a visionary state, and this is how I've been taking an interest in Bill Lieb. So the first thing we get are people that know more than me, and these are the people like Jody. you need to see a doctor, Jody, you're obsessing over a rock star. Like, you're not listening to what I'm saying, and you refuse to listen to what I'm saying. Now, there's some people who have been more patient with me. Okay, I don't know as much than I thought I did. So there are people out here that know that visionary state experience exists. So we have a basic understanding, at least. Like, I feel like I'm here and I move in here. Like, I'm learning more and more. So what you got to understand is, for me, the study of psychic awareness, paranormal and stuff, this has been my thing, you know, so I've been moving through this experience. But the thing that sucks is how Bill Lieb is brought into it. So, like, I don't know him that well. So, like, I know so much about Bill Lieb. Like, this is his life, you know. I know so much about Bill Lieb. I'm not here. I don't think I know him. I'm not one of these. But when it comes to people who don't know me, you know, like, they only know this much about me and my experience, I keep getting their advice like, Jody, just forget about it. Jody, shut up. Jody, it's your imagination. Jody, move on. Jody, see a doctor. These people don't really listen to me. And that's why, you know, I don't respect their advice. And so, you know, all the people that are just telling me to shut up and move on, well, those people don't understand. So there's really only a few people out there I really hope to reach this, that'll listen to me. Like, I think Rosie was somebody who, she had a lot of knowledge and experience, so she never ordered me to shut up. She always said, you know, to just use your best judgment. And the only thing she would say against it is if this is somebody that's mentally abusive to you, then why would you want to be involved with them? Because this person makes, you know, because I was telling her that Bill just makes me so angry. I just, you know, I hate my body. I just feel like some big, fat, ugly, stupid, crazy person to him. Like, he's only ever going to see me as some mentally ill and broken person. You know, and I just feel like he's just been one of these people that are laughing at me, you know, because I even like him. And so when you're one of these people, like if you're Bill Lieb and you're laughing at these women, like, why do they even like me? Don't they know what a jerk I am? You know, like, I mean, think about it. Like, if me caring about Bill Lieb and wanting to be his friend or wanting to be helpful to him makes me crazy, the only reason would be for me to be crazy is if he's like a mean asshole. Well, then why would I want to help him? That would be absolutely crazy. But if Bill Lieb's like a really nice guy, and so let's say, you know, this is just an alien, but they're speaking for his higher self. Maybe there's like, you know, Bill Lieb's inner child. That's who you really are. You're your inner child, and that's your higher self. So if your higher self is speaking to me and saying, hey, Jody, please don't forget about me. Jody, please don't give up on me. You know, I really want to honor that. I really, you know, think that, you know, look at my display here. You know, I've got my kung fu family. I've got Bill Lieb. I think he's a big part of my music family. And there's my dad. He's like the person that, you know, brought me into this music family. So he's like right there with Bill Lieb, you know, the two biggest music enthusiasts that I know. And then, you know, Rosie Clarelight. I should have more people up there, but, you know, Bill Lieb is somebody who I care about. So I'm not trying to talk trash about him, but I'm just saying that, you know, if you look at the way I was put down, like, I was put down pretty bad for really not doing anything wrong. I think the only problem with me is I won't shut up about it. Otherwise, if you look at what Bill Lieb was doing bad, you know, he's been kind of playing mind games with these women, and that's why they're attacking me, and that's why I'm frustrated, and I wake up in the morning going, you know what, I just really need to give up. I'm just so tired of trying. This guy is so annoying because he acts like, it's called breadcrumbing. It's like, here you go, here's your breadcrumbs. I'm like, thank you for the breadcrumbs. Now will you please talk to me? It's like I have to beg him to talk to me, but then some Miss Bitch can come tromping right into his life and get treated like, you know, like a princess, all because she has a nice tight little butthole. So that's why I say stuff like that, because she was a mean person. I think, you know, if you want to call somebody psycho, I mean, she was sitting there trying to bait me. You know, I went on to Instagram because I was looking for pictures, and I don't really use Instagram. So I went on there for the first time to look up Bill Lieb, and I found Bill Lieb 8, and I'm thinking, oh, that's got to be, you know, his favorite number. So this is probably the one. So I click on it, and it's her picture. So she created a fake Facebook page when she lured me in and set me up, and then since then, she'd gone in and created probably a fake Instagram page. And I'm just thinking, she probably got busted. That's why her picture's in there. And, you know, I have to say, for the amount of money that she spent on her lips, you'd think she's able to give the perfect kiss. I mean, you think about it, this lady's spending so much money on her cosmetic surgery, the makeup. She pays, you know, professionals to do her makeup, hair, and photography. And this is the only thing Bill Lee cares to remember her by. It's like, please notice my face. Please notice my face. Because, you know, if we want to say somebody's psychotic, I think if that's how you want to remember somebody, and that's what makes them interesting to you, I mean, that's really kind of disgusting compared to me. You know, I just feel like, you know, being attracted to somebody's butthole is kind of weird because, like, I'm the opposite. I guess I'm more of a head person. Like, if I had Bill Lieb here right now, I'd probably want to hug him like this and plant a big kiss right in his big wrinkly forehead, you know, because I just love the way his hair kind of sticks out, you know, kind of like when my goose is in a really good mood. I'll pet his hair and kiss him right in his big pumpkin face. I would do the same thing to Bill Lieb. I'm like, mwah, you know, I'm not down here looking at his ass and all this weird shit. So that's where, you know, what am I being punished for? Because I was nice and friendly. What am I being punished for? I wasn't a pretty college kid, you know. And, you know, maybe I have a bad temper and I, you know, don't know when to shut up. So I'm going to admit that. Maybe I've said too much and I'm sorry for, you know, some of the things I didn't need to say. But I just really want to point out that there just seems to be a deep-rooted connection with me in this music. I feel like I was almost incarnated into this body so I could be on time for this music, so I could be on time to meet Bill Lieb. And, you know, having that dream and having Rosie explain to me past life traumatic stuff, that could be why the dynamic is as it is that what if, you know, Bill Lieb and I have known each other in a past life, and I just really hope, boy, you know, I've often wondered, am I the one that, like, maybe he got hit in the head in a past life with a battle axe, and that could be, you know, why, maybe he puts his big old forehead up because he needs somebody to give it a kiss, right? Because that's what I feel like when I see him in those pictures. I just want to, right in that big old forehead. So that's how I feel about Bill, and that's something I don't think I should be ashamed of, you know, but if I was, like, interested in Bill because I like his butthole or something, I could understand people shaming me for something like that. But the reason I love Bill is, like, I feel like I remember him since I was a little kid, and since I've seen him in real life, like, it's like there's no explanation. You see somebody and you know you love them or whatever. Like, I can't help it. There's not a lot of explanation. But if you look at my life and look at what I know about his life, I can see where, you know, it makes sense if we were friends together. You know, at least we have to share about music and music culture and all this type of thing. But I think what makes him and I different is I'm more to the like the spiritual side. Like, I like to talk about weird stuff or whatever. And maybe he doesn't, you know, maybe that's not interesting to him. Maybe he just likes girls and cars and he doesn't want to hear about going out of body and talking about extraterrestrials. So at any rate, I just want it to be known that, like, I'm not bashing him, but like, but I am just sharing, like, my point of view, because I felt like I got bashed quite a bit, and so I'm sort of saying, hey, you know, if you're gonna bash me, why don't you look at what you've done with these women? And it's like, the whole reason I feel like I can't talk to Bill Lieb is he's been wasting so much time on these boring women that, you know, they're mean assholes anyway. So I would rather see Bill Lieb in a situation where he's going to have fun for the rest of his life rather than, you know, be like worshiping his queen. That's like, I demand this and I demand that, because I can guarantee you that's where he's at, is he's got to kiss this woman's ass for the rest of his life. And I'm very sorry, because this is somebody who I was really hoping would be a friend of mine for the rest of our life. But since I have to forget about it, I am going to work on, you know, sharing the rest of my stories with that in mind. And I'm going to work on getting out of the situation and get on to a more interesting phase of my life, because obviously this stuff is boring and nobody wants to hear it, but it's something I have to process and come unplugged, and that way I will then do something more creative and interesting in the long run. So you guys have a great day. I'll talk to you then.